Hey everybody, it's me, it's Thor. Uh, Welcome back to all the returning viewers and a warm welcome to everyone who's new. I appreciate everyone tuning in and taking the time. If you dig what's happening here, please think about making it a little bit more long term. That button down somewhere. I've had some questions in the comments section about my own path of self-instruction and just music in general and how I've gone about it and things that have happened and all that jazz. And I've been playing the guitar for 32 years, so I'm not going to give you a big history because that would take a long time, and frankly I'm sure you have better things to do. But I will talk today about one of the more important things that happened to me. And this was about 10 years ago. And it really sort of taught me and showed me the importance of practicing. Because I've always practiced. I'm obsessed with the instrument. I'm obsessed with music, as I'm sure we all are. And so it's never been a struggle to get me to sit down and play. I've been doing it every single day since I was 10 years old. And it's an amazing journey, and I can't imagine not playing, But 10 years ago, I was on tour with a band called Quiet Life, and I had toured with them for about 4 or 5 years. Really good friends of mine, and we had done a ton of support tours for people like Portugal the Man and The Head and the Heart and Shovels and Rope and Dr. Dog, and there's more bands that I can't remember, but I really got into gypsy jazz and Django a couple of years before that, and really seriously while I was on tour with them. And so I'd sit in the back of the van with my electric guitar unplugged and just work on my my Django stuff. And I was getting to a place of really wanting to pursue it more seriously, and wasn't really sure how to go about that. And I knew that I had to put myself in a place to be around it. So I was coming home. I was living back on the East Coast at this point, and I looked at Facebook real quick on my phone right before I got on the flight, and I saw that one of my favorite guitarists and one of the masters of that style, Stefan Remble, had posted on his Facebook page that he was looking for a new rhythm guitarist. So I just, in my boldness and perhaps a little bit hungoverness, reached out to him. I just sent him a message. I never met the guy in my life. He has no idea who I am. Hello, sir. I see you need a guitarist. I want a chance. Got on the flight, took a nap, woke up. He had messaged me back by the time I got back, saying that they had already found someone, and he appreciated me coming out. I should come to a jam sometime. And so I did exactly that. And that same day I landed. I got home, I put down my electric guitar, I picked up my gypsy guitar, which is not this one, it was a different guitar at that point. And I got on a train to go to the city. And when I say the city, I will forever mean New York. I'm from New York City. That's just what you say. I was going to the city. At that point, I did not live in the city. So I got my stuff, took the very, very tiny amount of money that I had, and got on a train and went to New York. And I went to a jam that he hosted every week. And, we played, we chatted. It was great. Got to meet a bunch of people, felt really good. Told everybody that I was interested in moving to the city to play that music full time. And, went back to my life. Got the taste for a really good jam. And some time went by. He and I sort of kept in touch. I ran into him one other time. And then a few months later, I was out on the road again with Quiet Life. I'll never forget, in Okoboji, Iowa. And he sent me a message asking if I was available to basically do a couple of tours with him and join his band. Just out of the blue. Blew my mind. And I said, of course, absolutely, 100%, let's do it. He said, great. learn these albums. And he sent me 4 of his albums of his original music, which is very much, he's definitely written a lot of swing tunes, but a lot of it is very almost like prog rock, but done on these guitars with, drums and bass, and not the easiest tunes, especially just to learn by ear. So that was my life for the next couple of months. All I did was morning, noon, and night learn this stuff and memorize it and learn it and memorize it and learn it and memorize it. And like that, I was in the band. And moving to the city and playing with him, the first 2 years I was in his band, we played 5 nights a week. And we went on tour. So we're talking about 300 dates a year. And the city gigs, those were 3-hour gigs. And then on tour, we'd play 2-hour shows. And if you've never heard Stefan play before or seen him play before, he's a master musician, but more so than that, the guy is a beast on the instrument. He has this command of this guitar, like it's rare to see in person. He plays this thing like it's got a Floyd Rose and 8-gauge strings. And I don't mean stylistically, I mean the speed and the power in which that guy can play is intimidating. So I thought I had a pretty good grasp on that genre of music, and I realized very, very quickly that I did not, So in order to keep up with the gig, not keep up with him, keep up with the gig, we'd play every night, 5 nights a week, 3 hours at a time, and I would have to practice about 3 to 5 hours a day just to keep up. Those first 2 years, I practiced so much. I got the first massage I ever had in my life at the 2-year mark, because I was walking around all messed up. Like, this arm just looked like this because I spent so many hours just practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. And it kind of broke me. I ended up developing a back issue, the whole thing. I did it to myself. No one's to blame but me. I could have been smarter about it all. But it showed me the work it takes to really play the music you want to play. And it got me obsessed with practicing, because again, I practiced, but this was like, I had to really budget my time and really make sure I hit all the marks of things I needed to work on. The biggest thing was time, playing in time, because I'm only not playing this guitar right now because of the microphone, and it's not set up for that. And so all you're going to hear is a bunch of distortion that it's not going to reflect well on this beautiful instrument. But come on, there we go. That's going to be fun. A lot of those gigs we did without a drummer, and if you're not familiar with the style of music, the other guitar is the drummer. I have to keep time. Can't speed up, can't slow down. Definitely can't slow down. So I basically lived with the metronome on all the time. I have a metronome app on my phone, and I used to wear headphones and walk around with a metronome on just to internalize time as best I could. And I also had to, my chops had to be there, because I wasn't just playing rhythm, I was playing solos. So all of a sudden I had to be able to, go from this to this. Except quicker than that. I'm so out of practice with that stuff. I don't know if I could do it. And it was a bear, and it was insane, and it was amazing, because I learned how to practice, and I learned more about music from the amount of time that I practiced, and it was amazing. The amount of stuff that I learned and practiced in that 6 years I was in his band, I'm going to be unpacking for the next 25 years. It taught me more about my fretboard. It taught me more about the relationship between notes. It taught me, all these like intro vids that I do are kind of a result of a lot of that practice. And it just, I don't know, it opened my eyes. It opened up the world of music to me. in a way that I didn't know was there. You know, it's like, imagine what a cat sees the first time it goes outside. You know, a cat lives its life in a house, everything's fine and great, and then it goes outside and it's like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? Like, what's that animal? I don't know what that is. That's what it felt like to me. And the biggest lesson that I learned in that whole amount of time that I was in that band. So my first couple of years, I tried really hard to play strictly the vocabulary of that style, which is difficult. It's very difficult. Ask anyone who's learned the style. If you play gypsy jazz, you know, it's a very distinct vocabulary, and it's very difficult. You know, basically the entire genre stems from one man, and to pick apart that stuff is tough because it's intuitive for Django Reinhardt, but we're not Django Reinhardt. So I would just have a bear of a time when it was my turn to take a solo. And I remember the tour that I just got too frustrated and I just kind of threw that stuff out the window and I just played a solo. You know what I mean? I just played the first thing that came to my mind and it didn't sound, for lack of a better term, authentic, but it worked and it sounded more like myself. And I was reminded that this vocabulary that I spent so much time practicing is now part of me. So instead of trying to play it, I'm just going to play what comes out. And because this vocabulary is inside of me, what comes out is going to fit the music, but it's going to sound a lot more like myself as opposed to me trying to sound like something. So that was a really good reminder. And it's funny how you forget that stuff. You know, previous to that style, I always just was unabashedly myself when I'd play. But when you're trying to do a thing, it's really easy to get caught up in that thing and forget a little bit of yourself. So I guess that's my closing thought with this, is that don't forget to be yourself. You know, learn styles, learn stuff, learn other people's licks. You know, learn as much as you can. You can definitely cop stuff from other people. You know, there's no doubt about that. But it still comes through the lens of you. So try your best to not forget that and to not get too frustrated with sounding like somebody else. Maybe I've ended preachy, but that's just what it is. But I just wanted to give you a little snapshot of my life. I was with Stefan for 6 years. And then I relocated to Nashville. Bunch of life happened, and now here I am in lovely, lovely London with unseasonably nice weather, from what I understand. I thought it was supposed to rain here all the time. The last 8 months has just been beautiful days. Anyway, that's about that. Little glimpse into my life. Thank you so much to everyone who's been commenting and sharing stories and asking questions, and it's been cool. It's been really, really cool. So let's be cool, everybody. Until next time, I'll see you later.